I want to talk a minute about pity. Pity in songs in the theater, in the musical theater. When I was at the BMI Musical Theater Workshop, we learned early on that your characters cannot self-pity. It turns off an audience. The exception being if it's a comedic song. And for the most part, I took this as a rule to follow. I recently saw, for the third time, I saw a regional production of Jason Robert Brown's The Last 5 Years. And I had seen the original production starring Sherry Renee Scott with Norbert Leo Butz. I saw it again recently on Broadway with Adrienne Warren and Nick Jonas. I haven't seen the movie, but I should probably check that out. And then I saw this regional production. And it's so fascinating seeing a production in the regions where the actors are good and they're good singers and they're truthful actors, but they don't always have that Broadway caliber it factor that you get from Sherry Renee Scott and Adrienne Warren and Norbert Leo Butz and professional theater people like that. And I was so struck watching the show how much Kathy self-pities herself. Because when I see Sherry Renee Scott or Adrienne Warren do it, they're so vivacious, they're so full of life. They bring something to it that maybe isn't in the score and the script. So when you strip away that energy, that vitality they have, I just was struck, wow, she comes on in the very first song of the show and she sings, "I'm Still Hurting. Jamie has left me, Jamie is gone, and I don't know why," and it's a self-pitying song. So I was thinking more about pity songs. Now the self-pity song that is used as the example of when it really works is Mr. Cellophane in Chicago, because it's funny. But it's really fascinating. I remember when Dear Evan Hansen was coming out, they released one song and it was Waving Through the Window. And I listened to that song and I was like, oh my gosh, I love this song. This is such a great song. But then at the same time I went, but wait a minute. This is a song about self-pity. This is essentially the same song as Mr. Cellophane. It's about a guy who wants to be seen by people. He's waving through a window, cellophane, and no one sees him. But yet I loved this song and I loved this character. And then when I saw the show, I thought the song worked brilliantly as an I Am, I Want song. So let's talk about Cellophane and Waving Through Window and how they are similar and how they're different. I talked about how they're similar, but how are they different? Well, Waving Through a Window is not comedic. And the reason I think it works is because the music is hopeful and energetic. And even though this character is pitying himself, the subtext is he's not pitying himself. He's just longing for this opportunity to share what he has to offer, to be with someone, to not be lonely. And I think as an audience, we really feel for him. And the characters, so brilliantly originated by Ben Platt, we love this character and we want him to succeed. And I think a similar moment happens when you've got someone like Adrienne Warren or Sherry Renee Scott singing "I'm Still Hurting." The music isn't giving us that energy and hope for the character, but the actor is. So that's the problem, I think. Comment below what you think about these specific songs and whether they are breaking the rule or if they're finding a way to sidestep the rule. Now, talking more about Kathy, she starts with this sad, pitying song that is basically telling us who she is. And she's a woman whose husband has broken up with her and left her. She is a unwanted woman. And the problem I have is that she doesn't really ever get out of that. If you think about the songs, she's trying to make it as an actress. And those songs work because she's self-pitying, but they're funny. The one where she's auditioning and she's in her head, that song is funny, so the self-pity works there. But I think as a whole, the last 5 years, it just dawned on me when I saw this. The problem with this show is that you've got one character that's excited about life, that's writing a book and becoming famous and falling in love with Kathy, and then falling in love with a new woman, and he's excited about life. And then we've got a character that's a real stick in the mud. We see her life going backwards and she's always struggling. She's always kind of in a pitiful state for the most part. And I just was like, wow, is this what Jason Robert Brown feels about his ex-wife? That she was just bringing him down? And probably yes. And if you don't cast an actress in that role who can get us out of the self-pity, we're in for a long slog with that character. So this brings me to another song that I feel borders on self-pity but also works, is the song in Waitress, She Used to Be Mine. But I think it isn't so much a song of pity as it's a song of a missed opportunity. And it coincides with also the song with similar title, This Nearly Was Mine, from South Pacific, where we also have Emile DeBeck saying, I came so close to having this great relationship with this woman, but it slipped through my fingers. And I think those kind of songs do work as 11 o'clock numbers, because it's a moment where we've arrived to this place of catharsis where the character is kind of having some self-acceptance and saying, this almost was. And so it doesn't really feel like a pity song, although I could see how there are elements of pity in them. Okay, and now this brings me to the ultimate pity song of all time, which has the word pity in the title. Pity the Child from Chess. And as we've talked about Chess in the past, and as we all know, it's a problematic show. And I love the song Pity the Child, but it is a problematic song because you've given us a character who is an unreliable narrator right from the beginning, of Freddie Trumper, who is not treating the woman he's supposed to love very well. So he's egotistical. And speaking of other characters with names similar to Freddie Trumper, when people have huge egos, you can't trust the things that they're saying. And so what happens is when we come to this song, Pity the Child, whether it's in the first act as a defining characteristic of Freddie, or whether it's in the second act to try to explain his bad behavior, it lands as a man who is just pitying himself and blaming his mother and his father who left and his mother who was sleeping around and not paying enough attention. And it just is basically a song where it's like, my parents didn't love me. And it is a difficult song for me to feel anything for Freddie. What I feel when I listen to the song is, wow, this is an incredible pop song. Listen to how high he's singing, and he's really just ripping his heart out. But it's problematic, and I feel like Pity the Child is breaking that rule that I learned, and you're giving us a song where a character is just wallowing in pity. And for that reason, the song doesn't work theatrically, but it does work musically, and it is exciting as a pop song. But it's one of the reasons that it's one of the many reasons that Chess doesn't really work as a show. So comment below, what are some other songs that break the rule about don't pitying yourself? What are some songs that feel like they're self-pitying but maybe really aren't? I found this really interesting, so hopefully you do too. Let me know what your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you at the next review. All right, bye.
Pity the song, but not forever. Everything goes away. You may have Leah, Nick, and Aaron starring in your play. What they lost when they rewrote the show. And I wonder, do they know? Pity the song, that's just the way